I'm Matt with Marine Tech, and today we're showcasing our new hydraulic steering bleed system. Works on Seastar and Uflex. We developed this system to have all the functionality of a power purge without the complexity or cost. Our system uses an elevated 3-quart reservoir to provide pressure and fluid, leak-proof quick connect fittings for the steering cylinder, and we have 25 feet of return line. Comes in a 5-gallon resealable bucket. We just replaced the seals in our steering cylinder and dumped out a whole bunch of fluid and introduced a bunch of air to the system. Now our first step, we're going to connect our return line to the bleed fittings. And depending on the condition of the fluid in your system, if it's dirty, burnt looking, you may want to flush out the old fluid. To do that, we have a break in our line, so you can disconnect the return, put it into a bucket, and open your bleed fittings, and then go up to the helm and turn the steering wheel both directions until you see new clean fluid coming out at the steer cylinder. We've already replaced the fluid in this a couple weeks ago, so today we're just going to bleed it and make that connection. And while we're back here, we're going to go ahead and open up the bleed fittings with our thin wrench that's included with the system. We're at the helm, and I'll show you the steps to get this process going. First step is to remove the fill plug, and we're low on fluid. It's critical that you have a helm full of fluid for this procedure to work correctly. Take your helm adapter, install that, and then we're going to connect our reservoir. And at this point, we need to make sure we get all the bubbles, all of the air out of the helm. You can carefully crack your fill fitting, so you can hear the air coming out of the helm, ready to tighten it up before we make a huge mess. Start our bleed procedure. When turning the steering wheel, you want to make sure it's a slow, steady speed. If you crank it too fast, you risk sucking in air at the helm adapter. So with our slow, steady rotation, you should be able to see any air in the lines or steer cylinder come up through your return hose. Alright, so we have clean, bubble-free fluid coming to our reservoir, and now we're going to start turning the other direction. Again, slow, steady rotation. Alright, so we now have bubble-free, clean fluid coming out of each side of the cylinder. I'm just going to manually push the motor lock to make sure there are no bubbles trapped in the cylinder. With the motor pushed side to side and free of air, we can close the bleed fittings and pack up our kit. And we'll disconnect our helm fill line. We'll remove our helm adapter. And you need to visually inspect to make sure there's fluid about 1/4 of an inch below the threads of the helm. Install your fill plug, and let's get our reservoir down. And got our return line, just jam it in the bucket. And then follow that up with our reservoir. Make sure it is more or less upright. It does have a vented cap. Grab our helm adapter, grab our skinny bleed fitting wrench, and we're good to go.